Sophia Loren and Marlon Brando never got along on the set of A Countess from Hong Kong. From day one, their relationship was tense, so when Brando invited her to dinner, it seemed like a rare chance to finally put their differences aside. But decades later, at 90, Sophia Loren broke her silence and revealed what really happened that night. What Brando did during that dinner didn't just ruin their fragile truce, it made their relationship worse than ever. Stay with us as we uncover all the juicy details. Sophia Loren's difficult childhood. Sophia Loren may look like she was born in an extravagant Italian villa, but looks can be deceiving. Though Sofia Costanza Brigida Villani Ciccolone was born in 1934 with Italian royalty in her blood, don't go thinking she grew up with a silver spoon in her mouth. Sure, her father had noble roots, but they didn't mean much by 1934. By then, he was a simple construction engineer. He was also a terrible father. Riccardo Ciccolone may have gotten Romilda Villani pregnant, but that wasn't enough to keep him in the picture. He abandoned his young family, leaving Villani and young Sophia without any financial support, or even the dignity of a proper explanation. In fact, Sophia Loren only met her father 3 times in her entire life. And once she became a star, she had no time in her life for the deadbeat who left her. But she wasn't a star yet, and she still had a painful childhood to endure. In 1938, Lauren's parents had another child, Maria, but her father hadn't learned his lesson. If anything, he'd only grown more cruel. Sophia at least was able to take his last name. With Maria, he wouldn't even acknowledge that she was his daughter. He outright refused to give her his name. Eventually, when Sophia Ciccolone became Sophia Loren, she paid her dad just to recognize Maria and allow her to take his last name. She was forced to offer a bribe to the very man who had once abandoned them, just so her sister could receive something as fundamental as a name. So no, Sophia Loren didn't have a strong father figure in her life. But at the lowest point of her childhood, that was the least of her problems. Sophia Loren grew up in the outskirts of Naples, at the time one of the poorest regions in all of Italy. Her mother made ends meet, but the luxuries of show business must have seemed a million miles away. Loren was tall for her age, but incredibly skinny. The other children in the neighborhood would tease her mercilessly, dubbing her the toothpick. It stuck. They mocked her thin frame and gawky limbs, turning her into a punchline when all she wanted was to belong. Well, they wouldn't be laughing for long. Everything changed for young Sophia Ciccolone one summer when she was 15. She and a group of friends were in Rome, and like all teenagers, they were looking for something to do. They weighed their options and decided to take in the Miss Italia pageant. It wasn't part of the plan. They just wanted to watch. They found a table, and while Sophia chatted with her friends, a stranger brought a note to their table. It was for her. That day, Sophia Loren was born, even though she didn't know it yet. The note came from an unfamiliar older man named Carlo Ponti. Ponti happened to be one of the judges for Miss Italia. He took one look at the toothpick, quickly growing into her frame, and marveled at her beauty. There was something in her presence that couldn't be ignored. She simply had to enter the contest. Now, most teenage girls would be terrified by this sudden attention from a strange, middle-aged man. Most would freeze or back away slowly. But Sophia Ciccolone wasn't ordinary. Her entire life, her mother had told her that she was a star, and it was time to prove it. 15-year-old Sophia Ciccolone entered the 1950 Miss Italia pageant as Sophia Lazzaro. She had no experience, but when you're Sophia Loren, you don't need experience. She walked out onto that stage with nothing but instinct, beauty, and a deep well of quiet determination. She took home the title of Miss Elegance, second place to the Miss Italia crown. For a teenaged first-timer, her performance was pretty good. But the beauty pageant was just the beginning. Carlo Ponti had become deeply involved in Loren's life, And from that point on, neither of them would ever be the same. Carlo Ponti wasn't just a beauty pageant judge, he was also a film producer. He quickly hired Sophia Lazaro to appear in some of his movies. Apparently, one name change wasn't enough, because soon after, he told her he was changing her name again. She was now Sophia Loren, a name with elegance, with a bite, with presence. And with Ponti in her corner, there was no telling how far this bright-eyed young starlet would go. And from there, Sophia Loren, the girl once mocked as the toothpick, was ready to take on the world. Sophia Loren's career. Sophia Loren's first starring role came in Ada, and right from the start, critics took notice. Her performance in the operatic drama was met with critical acclaim, and suddenly, the skinny girl once mocked as the toothpick was being taken very seriously. That same year, she played the lead in Two Nights with Cleopatra, a bold, seductive comedy that further showcased her screen presence. But her true breakthrough came in The Gold of Naples, directed by none other than Vittorio De Sica. It wasn't just another movie role, it was a turning point. De Sica brought out something raw and authentic in her, and the film made it clear. Sophia Loren wasn't just beautiful, she could act. Also in 1954, she starred in Too Bad, She's Bad, followed by La Bella Mugnaya in 1955. Two light-hearted comedies that would mark the beginning of a long and electric on-screen partnership with Marcello Mastroianni. Their chemistry was undeniable, and audiences loved watching them together. Over the next 3 years, Loren threw herself into film after film, building a career brick by brick. She appeared in Scandal in Sorrento, Lucky to Be a Woman, Boy on a Dolphin, Legend of the Lost, and The Pride and the Passion, a sweeping Napoleonic War epic set in Spain, where she starred alongside Cary Grant and Frank Sinatra. By now, she was more than just a European sensation. She was on the brink of becoming a global icon. That moment arrived in 1958 when she signed a 5-picture contract with Paramount Pictures. It was official. Sophia Loren had gone international. Hollywood embraced her with open arms. She starred in Desire Under the Elms opposite a young Anthony Perkins, based on the brooding Eugene O'Neill play. Then came Houseboat, a romantic comedy that reunited her with Cary Grant, and Heller in Pink Tights, directed by George Cukor, where she shocked audiences by appearing as a blonde for the very first time. But in 1960, Loren made the boldest move of her career and the most rewarding. She starred in Vittorio De Sica's Two Women, a harrowing, unflinching story about a mother trying to protect her 12-year-old daughter in war-torn Italy. While returning to their hometown after a series of bombings, the mother and daughter suffer a horrific assault inside a church, an act of violence that leaves a lasting impact on their lives. Originally, Loren had been cast as the daughter, but she refused to be boxed in. She fought for the role of the mother, something almost unheard of for an actress at her level and age. Eventually, she won that fight. Young Eleonora Brown would portray the daughter. The risk paid off. Loren's performance was raw, visceral, and devastating. She received accolades from around the world. The film earned her 22 international awards, including the Best Actress prize at the Cannes Film Festival, and most notably, the Academy Award for Best Actress. It was the first major Oscar ever awarded for a non-English language performance, and the first to go to an Italian actress. Two Women was not only a critical and commercial success, it was a defining moment in cinematic history. And yet, despite all the praise and the worldwide recognition, Loren didn't attend the Oscars that year. She claimed she was too afraid of fainting, of the spotlight, of that dizzying moment. But it didn't take long for her to hear the news. Cary Grant, her former co-star and friend, called her in Rome the very next day to personally break it to her. She had won. By the early 1960s, Sophia Loren was one of the most sought-after actresses in the world. She continued to film in both Europe and the United States, pairing up with some of the biggest male stars of the era. Her career reached new heights in 1961 and 1964, when she was paid a jaw-dropping $1 million each to appear in two epic historical dramas, El Cid and The Fall of the Roman Empire. In 1965, Loren received her second Academy Award nomination for her role in Marriage Italian Style, once again opposite Marcello Mastroianni. The two had become one of cinema's most beloved duos, and their on-screen rapport was effortless, sexy, tragic, funny, and real. Between 1964 and 1977, Sophia Loren won 4 Golden Globe Awards as World Film Favorite Female, a title that captured exactly what she had become. But after becoming a mother in 1968, Loren began appearing in fewer films. Her focus shifted. Fame had given her everything she once dreamed of, but now her priorities were changing. The girl who once clawed her way out of poverty was finally building a family of her own. And for a while, the spotlight had to wait. But her journey to finding love and eventually having her own family was anything but easy. Sophia Loren's tumultuous love life. Few actors, past or present, have ever embodied the otherworldly aura of a true movie star quite like Sophia Loren. With her tall, striking frame, smoldering eyes, and undeniable magnetism, the stunning Italian actress became the very definition of Hollywood royalty. But don't let the glamorous image fool you. Her life was no fairy tale. From a childhood marked by hunger and abandonment to a love story shadowed by scandal, Sophia Loren lived a life filled with struggle, sacrifice, and resilience. And when it came to her marriage, it was anything but ordinary. Sophia Loren first met the love of her life when she was just 16 years old. Carlo Ponti wasn't just any man, though. He was a prominent film producer, 22 years her senior. At first, that's all he was to her. A mentor, but he wasn't just handing out roles. He took a deep interest in her growth and transformation. He taught her everything she needed to carry herself like a star. He corrected her posture, taught her table manners, helped soften her accent, and filled her world with books on art, literature, and culture. He even insisted she learn English. He protected her, he nurtured her, he believed in her. And somewhere along the way, something undeniable took root between them. Despite their age gap and the whispers around them, a strong, magnetic love consumed them both. And it was that love, unapologetic, defiant, and real, that helped them face the storm that was coming. The first and most painful obstacle? Carlo Ponti was already married, with 2 children. In the 1950s in Italy, that wasn't just a small inconvenience. Divorce wasn't something you could easily file for. It required permission from the Vatican itself. And that permission? No one was willing to give it. The church, the law, and society were all standing in their way. But Sophia and Carlo weren't about to let go of each other. Instead, they made a bold move. In 1957, they left Italy and went all the way to Mexico, where Ponti was able to legally divorce his wife and marry Sophia. For a moment, it felt like their love had won. They were husband and wife at last, or so they thought. But the return to Italy brought nothing but fresh heartbreak. Their Mexican marriage wasn't recognized under Italian law. Ponti was accused of bigamy. Loren was charged with illegal cohabitation. They weren't even legally allowed to appear in public together. It was as if their love had become a crime. But ending the relationship was never an option. Refusing to bow to public judgment or institutional punishment, they made the painful decision to leave their home country behind and live in exile. Years passed as they struggled to find a way back. Back to each other, back to legitimacy, back to peace. Every attempt to resolve the situation hit a wall, but the couple refused to surrender. Eventually, they packed up their hopes and moved to France. There, they took a drastic step. Both Sophia and Carlo became French citizens. In a complicated twist, even Ponti's ex-wife had to obtain French citizenship so she could legally finalize her divorce. And finally, After nearly a decade of fighting the system, Loren and Ponti married again in 1966, this time officially and irrevocably. But Sophia Loren didn't just want the title of wife. She wanted a family. She wanted to become a mother. More than anything, she wanted to give her children what she never had: a present, loving parent. She wanted to be there for them in all the ways her own father never was. But motherhood didn't come easily. The journey was painful and deeply personal. The actress suffered 2 miscarriages. Each one left a mark. Determined not to give up, she underwent hormonal treatments. Complex, draining, and uncertain. Eventually, it paid off. At the age of 34, Loren became pregnant. Doctors immediately placed her on strict bed rest. The pregnancy was fragile, and there was no room for risk. Sophia listened. She retreated from the public eye, shutting out the noise of fame and glamour, and disappeared into a quiet hotel room in Geneva. There, in near total isolation, she spent months protecting the new life growing inside her. And on the 29th of December 1968, it all became worth it. Sophia Loren gave birth to her first son, Carlo Ponti Jr. 4 years later, on the 6th of January 1973, she gave birth to their second son, Eduardo Ponti. Her dreams of motherhood had finally come true. To Sophia, Carlo Ponti wasn't just her husband, he was her friend, her protector, her producer, her father figure, and her one great love. He helped shape her into the woman the world would come to know and admire. And through it all, from scandal to stardom, from exile to motherhood, they remained side by side.